Hey, welcome back to the most electrifying podcast, Sports Entertainment, Undefeated with Michael Montgomery. I have another special guest in the building. Well, he's not in the building, but he's online. He hails from Hampton, Virginia, University of Massachusetts, two-time conference champion, Super Bowl champion, Grey Cup champion, host of Daily Blast Live. He's humble with a hint of Kanye. He's also a true success story and one hell of a guy. Brandon, the cultured athlete, London.
Man, I appreciate that introduction, man. I feel like I'm WWE wrestling, like I'm about to just run in the ring, slide in there, man. Throw some beers in the audience.
Hey, and let me get this out the way for the ladies that's commenting. Yes, he's single, and you feel free. And I'm single too, so y'all make sure you look at me too. But anyway, man, thanks for coming on the show, man. How excited are you that football's back and the stadium filled with fans?
I think we just missed the energy element of football, what it brings. Yeah. I understand when I watch a football game, I'm working. In essence, when I'm doing Giants TV and I'm taking notes and I'm watching the game, getting ready for the post game show, but there's nothing like when you see somebody make a play, a big play, and it's that gladiator in the ring, and you see the crowd just going crazy because that individual made a play for his team, for his organization, for his city, in that sense. So I think everybody just missed the good in sports and just being able to just have, a couple beers, get drunk, go paint their body, like see some grown people paint their bodies and just go cheer for 3 hours. I think we all missed that, especially with 2020 that we all had.
Yeah, I totally agree because it's been a shock for everybody what's going through. So I want to take it all the way back. For you say you had your father, first black coach at University of Virginia, your mother, spiritual, intellectual woman. She would have, quotes of magnificent people on the wall. Just every time y'all walk through the hallway, you see emblems of things that give you character and strength. How was the development as a young kid growing up to see sports and also intellectual combined in your household?
Well, it's just a blessing in that sense because you get to grow up to be well-rounded in a sense, my parents always pushed me to be more than an athlete, but I think I kind of ran from that side of responsibility of an athlete as a kid, growing up, like, you just idolizing like rappers and like people of flashiness and not so much substance. You kind of develop that in a sense, and how you're growing up. But, being able to be grounded by the family that I have, there's 7 brothers and sisters. So there's 8 of us, having the mom I have, the stepmom I have, see that support when it comes to that. And to have the father and uncles that I have, to have that strong black male presence in my life, it's kind of like, it's like I owe God in a sense, it's like, wow, you gave me that family structure, that family backbone. So it's one of those things where, there's no, I can go out and fail. I can go out and put myself out there because there's no YouTube or Twitter comment that's going to make me either laugh at myself or check myself, like the family group chat comments. Like I posted something on Instagram. I think my pants were a little tight or whatever. And the group chat, the cousins group chat, let me have it. But I posted it in the group chat before I even posted it online because I was like, the outfit is fly. Pants is a little schmedium, but I'm still kind of fly. So I'm posted, but I posted in the cousins group chat because I was like, yo, 3, 2, 1, go in. And they just went in after in, and it was just so when you posted in the on the internet, it's like you heard everything already, in that sense. So I'm blessed in that measure. And it's not just about the jokes, just to be able to push you and want you to go on and be great in life. So man, I'm blessed in that measure, man. I have the dad that I have, even my brother coaching with my dad now, you just get that sense of faith, family, football, and then just that intellectual stimulation from my mother growing up.
Yeah, and speaking of mothers, I believe me and you had the same type of mother. You mentioned how, you told your mom, like, hey, mom, I want to be a professional athlete. She said, show me. And I was like, okay. That sounds about what my mama would tell me when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was the show me. My dad used to, but my mom I got two stories within that. So my dad, like as a kid, I used to tell him all the time, like, I'm going to the league, I'm going to the league. And he always used to say, I'm like Missouri, the show me state. He used to always say that. And to this day, it's always resonated with me. But my mom, when I was out in LA, when I retired from the CFL mid training camp, and went out to LA to try and be on this show called Hollywood Today Live. I didn't have a contract. They just told me they had me on a developmental contract, not like a contract to be a actual host. And they're like, we'll try and get you on up to speed for live TV and prompter. Cause I had never done it. I went and tested for them. They found my stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Flew me out to LA before training camp for the CFL. And I went out there for 2 days and tested for them, and I fell on my face. But they just like my je ne sais quoi, in that sense.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's see if we can get you ready. But man, that prompter and having somebody in your ear and having to talk to different hosts, and I was like, man, I thought we just had to go up here and start talking about Kardashians or something. Like, I could have done that, but you mean to tell me, like, you're talking to me, sir, while I'm reading these words and you're talking to me in my ear telling me we got 30 seconds. No, I can't finish this in 30 seconds. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, you had to go through it. My mom was the one when Hollywood Today Live, when they dropped me before they went live, I was at that LA Fitness on off of Cahuenga in North Hollywood. And I was on a Stairmaster, and they called me and they told me, like, yo, we're not gonna be like signing you to be a host or whatever after that 6 weeks. I just went down with the Stairmaster, like, damn, it's like he gonna cry in the car, because I left 6 figures in Canada to go out there. It cost me a lot of my like immediate savings to go back out there, because in Canada you make that money for that 6 months, and then it's got to last you till you start getting the training camp checks and then the game checks again. And I had savings, I had 401k, but that immediate, I was thinking I was going to go back up there, re-up, make me, 100 bands, at least 100 bands. Yeah. But it was like to move out to LA, and that 6 weeks, it just hit me. And it was like, yo, what am I going to do? My mom was like, look, I'll give you a minute. You can cry, you can scream, you can yell. She was like, boy, I even let you curse. Don't curse at me, but I'll let you curse. She was like, after that minute, I'm going to cut you off. And you're going to think of something, whether you got to go to Craigslist, do more training jobs, or do whatever. She's like, you're not going back to Canada. This is what you wanted. You said, regardless, if you get it or you don't get it, you're going to stay out there because you want to do the TV stuff. She was like, you're going to stay, figure it out, blah, blah, blah. And I was cursing and all that. And then, like 57 seconds. I don't even think she gave me a full minute. She's like, all right, what are we going to do now? And it was just like, shoot. I had stopped crying to my mama, put my big boy pants on. And that's when I started hustling out in LA. And then that's what led me to get one thing leads to a next. I'm working at this gym called Drive Cardio. And remember, we were doing like the Clippers commercial. What we did that together. We did were you in that Verizon commercial?
Yeah, I was on that. Yeah, that Verizon. Yeah,
Verizon commercial. We did a bunch of stuff, and those little checks, even though they take these motherfuckers,
a long time,
90 days to pay us.
Yeah,
feed the artists, please.
That's one thing I didn't understand about LA. They tax us, they charge us, they want to do acting classes. Things are so expensive for the people who don't have the expenses of income coming in steadily. They want to make everything hard for us.
Signing up for Central Casting and then having to go all the way out to Burbank, stand in line in the morning to register with Central. But those little extra roles, those little 150, that little 175 used to hit. So you know what I mean? But it's just that I feel it. The reason why I appreciate whatever successes I'm getting right now, and I still got a mountain to climb in terms of where I want to get to, you know, in that sense, because it's a never ending game. You're never evolving. I mean, you're forever evolving in this game. But man, to go back and to like look at it, like you just sitting there, like remember Blake Griffin came on the bus and we were shooting that shot.
Yeah.
And then DeAndre Jordan, he was doing the dunks on the green screen.
Yeah.
I had my little blog camera set up. I still have that footage.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start when I get on and I really start telling my story and stuff. I'm releasing all that footage that we that from back in those days, because it's like, yeah, you could be Instagram famous right now, but we didn't really have that like that back then. If you didn't have a name, I didn't have no real name like that. I wasn't Odell, I wasn't Victor Cruz. I've had to start from the ground up. So when I get there and people really like, damn, this Brandon London dude shoot, you know, kind of taking over that Strahan role, like, you know, up there when they could be like, oh, you just started doing it. Like, no, bro, I've been hustling, bro. I've been out there in LA. I call LA home too. Be like, I've been out there in the streets, in the LA streets, as an extra, all that.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Michael Strahan, you know, you always talked about, you know, you want to see what you want to be. You know, how big was Michael Strahan as a catalyst to just promote you to, you know, get your role in media? How big was he when it comes to inspiration?
Well, I mean, like you said, see it to be it, man. Like to be able to see somebody in their blueprint and they sit you down and, you know, kind of like talk to you about like some of the fears they've had in the business or some of the struggles that they had, you know, like during that time where like 2 weeks after I had got cut by Hollywood Today Live, my dad coached at UVA, coached Chris Long, who's Howie Long's son, who does Fox Sunday with Stray. So he had a like charity event in Charlottesville, Virginia. Strahan was there. Saw my dad. My dad was like, "Oh yeah, you play with my son." He was like, "Hey, tell him to hit me up." Gave me his number. I hadn't talked to Strahan in like 4 or 5 years, you know, or whatever. So I was reaching out to him to like, you know, just meet up with him just to pick his brain. I just wanted to know where to go, you know, how to navigate where to go. And I was like, I wasn't going to ask him for anything. So, man, he hit me up on a Saturday night one time and was like, "You'll meet me at the Beverly Hills Starbucks, 7 a.m." And I think I was at a not front porch. What do you used to call that? The Phoenix. I was at the Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
And I got the text, and it was like 12 o'clock. I was like, dang, I gotta go home because I lived in Van Nuys at the time.
Oh
so
yeah.
Get all the way down there. I was like, man, I gotta be up early. Yeah. So what was, you know, I ended up talking with him for like an hour and a half, man. And he just, it was just good to get the game. You know, it was good to get the game. If for anything, I walked up out of there like, all right, this dude talking about something. He used to do podcasts in the, you know, friends' basements to get reps and to, you know, to get over a stutter or a lisp or whatever it is that we have internally that is a blocker, a mental blocker for us when we get in front of the masses, you know what I'm saying? Or when we get in front of the camera. That's our mental block instead of owning it, you know. So he was saying how reps and you know, the things that he had to do to get the reps to be comfortable, just being yourself, you know. That's what you got to be on camera. You got to be comfortable being yourself, whether you corny, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You put on tape right there. You got to sell it.
Yeah.
You got to sell it. You know what I'm saying? So just being able to hear that. And then that's why every time I book something or every time, or even he follows me online and during my time at Daily Blast Live, when I say some type of stuff and he'd see that, you know, you get that text and it was like, "Hey brother, saw your stuff online." It was like, "Hey, I agree with you on this and keep going," and all that. Like you randomly seeing that playing, you know, Call of Duty or whatever on your phone or on your computer, and then you see a text from Strahan or whatever, and you like, yo, he saw that, and he thinks that's a good job, you know. He saw that body of work, especially because he saw me in what I wanted to do, and I told him what I wanted to do from in that Beverly Hills Starbucks. So I mean, it's just one of those things, like you said, see it to be it, and I feel like for anyone, it's not about trying to copy someone's style or whatever, you know. It's not like I'm trying to be him in a sense. It's just, yo, your blueprint is very similar to mine, but I'm going to put my own thing to it in a sense. And during that time, and when I do get up there, I'm going to pay homage to you and thank you, because it's like you're that person that, you whatever it is you dealing with in life or whatever, just you got somebody, you just know you inspired somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least one person I can tell you, Michael Strahan, you've inspired one person, and
Mm-hmm.
that's me in that sense.
Yeah, that's dope. I always say that, man. It's when I heard you say that, man, it was just such a blessing to see that, he reached out, he saw uh, the what you want to be, and it was just amazing to see how.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing, when people are reaching out to people, like, don't be afraid to reach out to that head of casting or that assistant of casting or whatever. If you're out in these somewhere in LA, or if you're not bothering someone, but you
Mm-hmm.
get that opportunity to go up and speak to someone and talk to someone, you got to take it. You got to do it. Like, that's our business. But be respectful. Don't be, like I said, don't be nagging anyone, but show that level of confidence, that level of, hey, all you have to do is point me in the right direction. I'm a go. I told
Mm-hmm.
him, I'm like, yo, don't. Oh, I can set you up with this person. Don't. No. Just point me in the right direction. I need to go get my 10,000 hours, my
Mm-hmm.
10,000 steps. Just tell me which way to go, and I'm cool. I got, I got my what's the little canopy thing? I got my backpack. I got my Tim's on.
Yeah.
I'm ready to take my journey.
Oh man, that's what's up, man. That's good to hear. I believe, our experience shapes our opinions. Whenever you take on the stage and you're in media and you take on racially charged issues, what about your upbringings that you kind of take to when you take on racially charged situations?
Being a coach's son, being my father's son, him being able to see him climb that corporate ladder in the coaching world,
Yeah.
and growing up, going from a Richmond, Virginia to a New Kent, Virginia to a Hampton, Virginia to Framingham, Massachusetts, back to Charlotte, then down to Charlottesville. So being able to grow up on both sides of the railroad tracks in that sense, and being able to be grounded, in that sense of where I come from, to living on a country club in high school, in
Mm-hmm.
Framingham, Massachusetts, when he was coaching at Boston College, So I think, in a sense, I got the best of both worlds, in a sense, because I know what it's like to be rooted, to be grounded, in a sense, and have morals and all, but also now how to move in that different room, in a room where a lot of young Black kids, you don't get to see that,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, being able to be on that side of, the railroad tracks and all, in that sense, being in some of these rooms and being able to like, just the access, just that type of access. So I think, like, just growing up like that, and then now, doing 3 years at a show like Daily Blast Live, it allows me to detail my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
broaden my perspective, in a sense, and be able to cross the line and have conversation. Because if I'm going to go up, and if you're on a show with there's 4 co-hosts, you're only in charge of 25% of the demographic anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can go over and I can at least listen to that other 75%, it helps me shape my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I can be stronger on something. You could just be validating something you could be validating my point, because it's like, you're saying this, you're only validating what I'm saying, in that sense. Or it's, wow, I have to rethink the
Yeah.
way, I have to rethink my approach, rethink my perspective, because that's something completely, I didn't even see that side of the argument, debate, or learning experience.
Also, I remembered in one show you kind of gave kudos to one of your castmates that tried to reel you in and correlate your message, and when it came to a certain protest, and you talked about hearing a different perspective helped you and made you grow in a bigger way, than knowing that there's different ways to handle things. Everybody is trying to get to the same area, to make things better for our kids, but just trying to find the right way. So that was really good. That's one thing I loved about the show. Y'all had different opinions, but y'all both everybody was on the same page. It was just the route to getting to the final destination, and that's one thing I loved about the Daily Blast when you was on it.
Yeah, man. And it was 3 years of boot camp, 6 live shows a day, being a part of 3 to 4 of them. Obviously, we had COVID, the whole COVID thing, so we scaled back on the amount of shows that we shot during that time. But you could say for 2 years, shooting that, being a part of 4 to 6 live shows a day, Monday through Friday, hopping on the red eye, flying to Boston, getting in renting a car, going out to Amherst, Massachusetts, doing the UMass football home games, taking a rental car, going down to New Jersey, New York, doing the Giants game Sunday, and then flying out the next morning to go back and go straight to set the Daily Blast Live, because we had a locker room where I would shower and go through hair and makeup and stuff straight from the plane. So, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things, man, where, like I said, you sharpen that perspective, but then again, at the same time of being able to travel and do different things, meet different people, I just don't see life black and white, in that sense. I don't see it through one lens, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, exactly, man. Because that's one thing, like I said, truly loved about your show. It was different perspectives, and sometimes I feel sometimes today with the media, like you either believe what I believe or you're the enemy. And sometimes I feel like it's a divisiveness when it comes to people's opinions. Like we're both South, we learn how to respect people. We might not agree with, a political view, but, in the end of the day, I'm going to treat you how you treat me. And that's one thing I loved about the show and how, the dialogue bounced off from back and forth between each other.
Yeah, man, you can still watch just because I ain't on it no more.
I'm still
got show. You can still watch.
Yeah, I'll be on it, man. Just and you talked about when you worked with the Giants, and you also played with the Giants, and talk about you was on that practice squad for the Super Bowl run. Talk about your favorite memory playing for the team and your vital role, on winning the Super Bowl.
I think just going to London, when we went over to London, because I got a chance to see like how the soccer play, like how that soccer culture is over there.
Yeah.
And it just opened your eyes to just the money in sports, like the business side of sports. So when you're the gladiator, when you're taught to only think as a gladiator, you're only thinking just the brunt work of it. Oh, let me go catch, work out, get hit.
Yeah.
But when you see it's just the money being thrown around, and it's like, instead of just being the man in the arena, I want to own the arena, in that sense.
Yeah.
So it's, going over to London, that experience of, meeting some of the Chelsea FC soccer players when we practiced at their training facility. And then lo and behold, you go from 2007 to 2021, where we're in now. And I'm doing the Chelsea FC mic'd up podcast here in America. And I'm going to be doing some stuff, I do stuff with the club and all that. So I think it's just one of those moments where I just look back and you just connect the dots in your life. And it's like, people try and be like, oh, you were only on the practice squad for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at the checks 14 years later that I finessed out of all that from that. I still getting Giants checks and getting Chelsea, and that's not to be braggadocio or anything like that, but you can connect the dots going back, not forward. So when you look back at different things in your life, different experiences, I'm glad enough. I'm thankful that a lot of the things that I did, they weren't one-off experiences. It's just, you just get to feel it once. No, it's like things are coming full circle.
Yeah.
Now. How I conducted myself back then has given me opportunity 10, 14, 12 years later down the road. So I think that's just a memory, because I think that's when that soccer bug was kind of planted in me, completely, being able to go over there and experience that.
And I also heard through the grapevine, during the Super Bowl run, Giants played Green Bay, and you had a vital role playing Donald Driver that week and you helped Corey Webster in practice?
Yeah, I had to be, any week we were playing a team, I had to be like that star receiver for the scout team. So I'd be T.O. and then when we played the Bucks, I was Joey Galloway. So against the Packers, I was Donald Driver, and they had like this little post corner that they used to run. And the first time I ran it, I caught it on Webby. And he gonna make that play,
Yeah.
And then that Friday I ran it again, and he was on it. And then they ran it the first quarter of the Giants Packers game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something happened. He didn't throw it to him. I think the D-line got to him or something. He had to throw it away or whatever. Then they ran it again in the fourth quarter. Webby jumped it and he picked it. So when they came back, and the next day when we did the film watch and we're talking about, we're going to the Super Bowl, here's, you got to be here for this, that to fly out. He came, he was just like, Belon, you got me ready. He was like, you got me ready. And that's why when they had DB night, like when the position group, when they went out for like dinner and all that stuff, they invited me to DB night because week in, week out,
he was torturing.
I had to be that receiver who was going up against him.
Yeah.
And to me, it was cool. It was a red shirt. Do we laugh at people for red shirting in college? No, I red shirted in the NFL, So, so it was a great moment too, because you asked, Kevin Dockery, R.W. McCorders, Jabril Wilson, James Butler. I see these dudes today, and Aaron Ross, and they're like, you see, because I used to run, like I was just in great shape because I just loved the game, I was the gladiator, and I just love what I did, trying to get them boys ready, going deep and doing all deep posts and all this, running the route tree, all that stuff, every week was fun because trying to beat each receiver was just different. It was helping me in a different part of my game and to go up against those guys. So, man, it's just another thing. It's just, you look back, it was a blessing. It got me ready for the Miami Dolphins the next year. And then, my Canada run, five years up in Canada after that.
Okay. So it's long story short, you played a part in beating me getting to our Super Bowl. So I was on that Packers team when the Giants beat them.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I know that.
Yeah. That's why I was connecting the dots. I was like, okay, so he was
somebody
on
checks got to keep going. Somebody checks got to keep going. I needed mine. I lived in New York. You was in Green Bay.
Hey, that was man, from top to bottom. That Giants team, I mean, they were stacked with talent. I think that was one of the big pinnacles that really just set them apart. Like every position, they had ballers at every position and played really good, really good. And you talked about your time in Miami, and then that's when you start your modeling and getting into your camera, philanthropy, and all that. And I heard, BET, you ripped a runway on BET, and they aired it during OTAs in Miami, and that's when the head coach and Bill Parcells got a run of it and brung you to his office. What did he say?
Yeah, they weren't about that. Yeah, we shot. That was my second time doing BET Rip the Runway too. So we shot it in like late January, early, and we went to the playoffs that year. So I stayed back and I was working out. Like I think I took like a week off and I was back in the facility working out. And I would fly up to New York on the weekends before we didn't have to be back in the facility back then until like April. It used to be like deep. No, like officially like April or whatever. But I shot that a long time ago, but it was air to tape.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still working out at the facility and going to New York on the weekends, going back to New York. So we shot it. And then, like you say, it aired doing OTAs. So they thought that I was doing OTAs, then flew up there during OTAs to go film it. So I got called up to Bill Parcells' office. He was like, "Oh, you trying to be a model?" His exact words, "Who you trying to be, T.O.?" Because remember, T.O. did the modeling thing in Dallas. Remember, he had like the wig on or something like that.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, and they came from Dallas or whatever. And I was just like, man, it wouldn't even want something to try and argue or anything. It was just like, yeah, that was he's like you drawing attention, you trying to draw attention to yourself, let your football play, get you these, but lo and behold, I got booked. I was getting booked in the city as like a model, like doing my practice squad year. You know what I'm saying? Like this lady, I met her in Club Plum. Like I went out with everybody one night, and this lady stopped me, and I took these test photos. And I ended up signing with Boss Modeling Agency for men back at that time, and I was doing shoots around the city for academics, and BET ripped the runway. So okay, maybe the football got me, but I was low key kind of handsome back then too. So, like I was booking stuff as model because I didn't have a football name. Like I was a practice squad guy in New York. But hey, it is what it is.
Man, like, you worked out.
There's extra checks.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day when I got to LOS, you was talking about that cultured athlete. I remember you was talking about that a long time ago, and it's just really great to see, speaking to existence. What you want to do, how you want to do it, and also, getting blueprints from the people you want to be. Also, I want to go about and talk about, when was it the time to let things go? Because a lot of people listen in, and a lot of people that's professional athletes, they're still, trying to make a comeback or trying to figure out whether or not they should go for it or try to, plan B in their career. And you had that devastating injury with your knee, and you had to compliment. When is a good time for you to start planning your post-career in your personal opinion?
Well, when I tore my meniscus the first time was in 2012 in Canada. We were at Toronto, and I was having a season. I was averaging like 19.9 yards per catch.
Mm-hmm.
I caught like 94% of my balls and all that. I only had like 100 some yards left to get 1,000, and it was 4 games left. Mark Trestman was the head coach. I was going to go. I didn't know he was going to go to the Bears, but I knew he was going to the NFL after. So I was going to go down to the NFL, give the NFL a shot after that. And this is, 2012 season. Man, I tore my meniscus. I was done for the year. And I'm laying there in the Sky Dome because that's when we play where the Blue Jays play. I don't know if the dome was open or closed. We're playing the Toronto Argos. And I'm like, man, my knee, I couldn't get up. My knee was locked, and I'm sitting there, and then they told me I had to get it repaired and all this. And I just remember laying there on the field, and I tried to get up. My knee was locked, and I couldn't get up. I just took my helmet, I just threw it. I was like, man, I hate it, man. And that's when the cultured athlete was born, because I still ended up playing a year and a half after, but that's when it was like, yo, I got to have a job after football, and I ain't Tom Brady. I ain't got that bread put away like that, multi-millions. So what am I going to do? And I'd already started doing the modeling and a little extra work in New York City, so I'm like, I knew I liked the production aspect of stuff, and I knew I liked, I had this personality, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I knew I liked being on camera and stuff. So I was like, let me do that. So yeah, that's when I created Cultured Athlete, man. I went to Mark Trestman, and because I would go in and get my rehab. And instead of going out, I was like, I can't practice. And I'm not trying to just be out at practice. Cold as I don't know what. Like, I ain't trying to be out at practice for no reason. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, Coach Tress, since I'm I come in, I get my rehab, I get my lift. Can I start taking acting classes, theater classes? Mm-hmm. Like, say less, like absolutely. Get out. I enrolled in Montreal School of Performing Arts.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the season, I started taking theater classes. And then I went out to LA after that. And that's when I got in touch. I got involved with Marky Costello, her hosting classes and all. She saw something in me. She put me in her advanced classes right away. I mean, my first day in those classes, I couldn't read prompter. Like, I was struggling. But she saw something in me, she's just the eyes out there in LA, the people with the eyes, they know, like they know. It's just, they'll look at you. One thing I heard in football, and one thing I heard at the beginning of my TV career was when people say you got potential. I used to take that as like a good thing back in the day. It's a good and a bad thing because it's like you got the potential to be that, but at the same time, you're not that right now.
Yeah,
like,
you got to
right
work.
now. You're not that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that humblingness of that word, So just for her to see something in me, and then just out there hustling, and that's when I knew I wanted to do the whole TV thing. That's why I started Jersey Offsuit on the little web series I was doing up in Canada, and Cultured Athlete was born.
Yeah, that was dope. It was dope because I remember a long time ago I was in Canada. You would bring that up, and
yeah, man,
I already had a vision, so that was good.
It's crazy when it hits you, man. Like people know, people who are listening and watching this right now, especially if they're in the industry and they've had to do the commercial routes and get on, or anybody who's really had to like go after it in Hollywood, they know it's like that vision, like no matter what anyone says around you, whatever the outside noise, you could close your eyes and still see that vision, that goal. It's just etched in we can't do nothing about it. I could scratch my eyes till they bleed and I can't go. It's the same thing. It's that same divine power that navigates the birds to get south. You know what I'm saying? For the winter. That's what I can kind of equate it to in that sense. Like it's just there even on the days you don't want to do something or you don't want to, you still got up and did it. And that was the day where that one person you stumbled into or that one something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That opened up a door for something 3 years later, but it just took you being consistent and like you just, whether you walking with dead steps or whatever, you walking your 10,000 steps, your 10,000 hours, you're doing it. And that's what got you in touch with the person that got you in touch with the person that got you in touch. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the only way I can explain it in that sense.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that. All right. Super Bowl for the Giants. First Grey Cup in CFL Montreal. 2-time champion in college. Besides you, what do you feel is like the common denominator or the makeup for a championship team?
It's a bunch of good, hardworking, like-minded people. I think I've been kind of blessed to where it's like I never had to be like the superstar of any of my teams. I was always a strong star amongst a bunch of other stars and role players. And even the times where I had to be a strong role player, I still held my own enough to be like, I'm still a part of something. I'm still a strong contributor in that sense. So every time, you see that, it's like when you got a bunch of like-minded, hardworking individuals that still at the same time have talent, you get the most out of each other because the competition, there's no room for ego. Like when everybody's just as good as you and you got to create that extra whatever, that extra opportunity.
Yeah.
There's no time for ego because that moment or those moments where you're wasting time sulking or sitting there in your feelings, somebody else out there getting better, they're trying to create that edge. So like when it's coming down to like being a part of a strong team, a dream team, and making whether it's a production or a football team, the ego is it has to be a bunch of talented individuals who are like, this competition is for the better of the microcosm, the better of the organization in that sense, the super organism in that sense. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I like that type. I don't need to be a superstar. I don't need to be one of whatever, like I said, I want I want a lot of talented people around me as well, to the sense where there's really no slacking involved in that sense. And that's healthy,
Yeah, exactly. With me and you believe, sports has the ability to bring people together, regardless if, you vote Democrat, you vote Republican, if you live in New York, more than likely you're going to be a Giants fan. You're going to want to root for them to win. Do you feel like, sports and are infused with politics a lot, or what's your thoughts?
I mean, it's synonymous in a way because if you look at it, I mean, again, it's a microcosm of community we live in. It's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of people from different backgrounds trying to keep a structure within a structure, trying to reach an objective, and that objective obviously is to win. And for us in life, community, trying to win in life, not everyone has to be a star, celebrity in life, but a lot of people who are living quote unquote average lives just want to be happy in a
Yeah.
sense, want to be entertained, want to be happy, and want to feel like, their head isn't underwater, all the time, or their heads not being forced underwater or something. They're having to start behind the line, or just getting fair opportunities and all in that sense. So I just look at, like I said, sports. That locker room is a community within
Mm-hmm.
itself. People from all different walks of life,
Yeah.
like how many even now, like you look at where politics and all are so strong now. I'm looking at different players, different former teammates from all different walks of life, and you're looking at some of the posts and you're like, dang, that's how you feel. But then some of the posts you're looking for other people, you're like, dang, I didn't know you felt like that, man. Like I didn't know that you were from that situation, or you were kind of you're my liaison to that voice of that community or whatever. So, it's kind of cool sometimes to read a former teammate's post and be like, oh, that person's from a neighborhood that's the focus of the topic right now, the focus of the narrative. And you get to hear that person saying their experience and all. It's like, oh man, I know this dude. Like, I know this dude. This dude works hard. This dude was a funny dude, good locker room guy. And he's from that. So if he's speaking of an experience or whatever, then, he's speaking with passion, and on that sense. And I think it's cool because you get to, again, it's one of those things. If you're open to learning, then you could learn something.
Yeah.
And that only helps you with your perspective on life.
Yeah, exactly. Because it just goes back to your show when you was on Daily Blast. Had different opinions,
We
different
love that show.
perspective. Yeah, it just I love the. That's why I like Skip and Shannon.
Yeah.
They're different. They have different opinions, different beliefs, different outlooks, and I kind of like hearing both sides. So that's one thing I always loved.
The difference is though, man, and sometimes it's the unfortunate situation is we're like, even though you can see shows where people don't like each other, they're just doing it, they're creating this
Yeah.
magic for the show. But you also look at shows, when it comes to some of these political shows where that debate is so divisive and the vitriol is just they're strong back and forth, back and forth. But then those two people, they know they're cool in real life.
Yeah.
They created this. See, the thing, they can do that because they know they're getting a check.
Yeah.
Your everyday person, your everyday two people, they're not getting checks. So they're not going to come to any common ground off after camera or whatever. They're just going to continue to argue to be right, not argue to hear, because they see it going on TV and think like, oh, well, this X and X pundit just stuck it to this pundit. So I'm gonna go stick it to a lib or a Dem or a Republican or whatever. And it's like, you're doing it to fight. You're doing it just for to be combative.
Yeah.
You're not doing it to educate anyone in a sense, So that's the only thing I don't like about it when it comes down to that type of stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people, they're paid for entertainment.
Yeah.
And when that arguing stuff, that debate is a form of entertainment now.
So in your opinion, you think media plays a role?
I think it all plays a role. I think, it plays a role. And at the same time, sometimes I don't even feel bad I'm not even mad at some of the pundits or the personalities or whatever out there that kind of feed on or take control or like prey into people, because it's like, people are stupid, man. Like even if the information was right there, you wouldn't care. The truth was right there in your face. You wouldn't care anyway.
Yeah.
You're just gonna go click on whatever your dumb ass want to listen to, whatever clickbait you want to You know what I'm saying? Whatever makes you feel good inside or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I can't even look and be like, oh, that person's a bad person, whatever. It's just you just praying on a dummy, yo. Just
Yeah, like they say, people don't entertain the truth when the lie is so much better. So I understand with that. All right, we got Moneyball questions. Who is your top 5 former NFL players that transitioned to TV?
Man, let's go. Obviously there's the Strays and the Dwayne Johnsons, but let's go. I like Andrew Hawkins, Matthew Cherry, Nate Burleson. I love watching, man. I really love watching Nate, man. I really like his transition, what he's been doing. I was in broadcast boot camp. I was in the same group with Emmanuel Acho, so I've been able to watch that journey. Marcellus Wiley, because he represents something completely different. Like, I know he and Ryan Clark and all, they go back and forth, and it's kind of that, those guys get into that, what a black man is supposed to say, tweet, do, feel, all in that sense. And, I agree with both of them and certain things. I pick and choose what on who I feel is always right or who I align with, in terms of that idea or whatever in that sense. But, just all the brothers out there and all the former athletes out there who are pushing, being able to come out and speak on things. Malcolm Jenkins being, working with CNN now. Just all of them, man. Like, I watched the Up in Smoke with Matt Barnes, and Stack, like just all those things, the I Am Athlete with Ocho Cinco, all those guys, kudos to all these guys coming out and just, talking about it, just talking about it. We have to get our narrative out there and all. We have to put our side of the story and how we see things, because if we're not, then we're just going to let some beat writer or some blog writer write
whatever they want. Yeah.
Write about my passion. You don't know my passion. Yeah. You can't write about my passion.
Yeah, because the one thing I don't like, they can talk about the game, but when they start talking about their character, their character and what they do perform. You don't know me.
Just because I don't want to talk to you in the locker room don't mean like I'm a prima donna or nothing. It's like, no, I got nothing. You writing bad about me. Like, you're running your mouth. So why do I have to be your friend or whatever in that sense? It's like, so don't try and put something out there to your, hundreds of thousands or millions of blog hits and all that you got, because those people don't know me. So now with Ocho Cinco and Brandon Marshall and all those guys coming out and being raw like that, we're not able to educate the fan directly and all, like, hey, this is what Cap was feeling. And even this is what Dez Bryant felt about Cap and all in that sense. You're getting to hear it straight from our mouths on why we feel, how we feel, why we believe what we believe.
Yeah, exactly. One last question. I wanted to get your opinion. With the Washington, with the 650,000 emails, out of 650,000 emails, John Gruden was the only person found in the reports. Did you think he was a sacrifice for other people, or you think there's a bigger story alluded to that situation?
I think there'll be a bigger story that comes out. Right now he's the immediate sacrificial lamb, especially because of everything that the NFL is having to deal with to try and clean up that image. And it's not even like trying to clean up. It's like this is stuff continues to come out and get leaked about the culture, the NFL culture, all in that sense. So I think that was the immediate sacrificial lamb because you see how right now everything's kind of quiet right now. I think they're kind of bringing everything back in, tightening everything up.
Yeah.
But it's only a matter of time until it unravels again, like it has to. Something's going to come out again. And at that point, you hope it ain't your emails.
Because to add context, it was a investigation on the Washington football team. And they had some work-related issues of being disgruntled workers and employees. So they did a whole investigation. So it's all these emails, especially on business emails. So it's a lot more. They're hanging. So he made that sacrifice. But it's sad to see, the classness of how things come about. But I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate your time. Where can everybody follow you?
At Brandon London TV. Go check out BrandonLondon.com. I haven't updated that website in a while, but I will now. And I will be releasing some new information about a new gig that I have going on here in New York City. So can't wait to release that once the I's get dotted and the T's get crossed. But anyone watching this that's getting in this industry, crossing over from sports to entertainment, just go get your reps. Don't be disgruntled on how many reps you're going to get, because it's all, everybody learns the playbook at different speeds. So this entertainment playbook, go get your reps. You need your reps.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, thanks again. Hey, and for everybody that's listening, Undefeated, it's not just a podcast, it's a way of living. Whatever you're going through, whatever transition you're going through in life, you just to make sure, you're not the only one in it. There's always a blueprint, and go out and reach help and attack your situation. Attack whatever you want in life. It's always possible. Undefeated.